On this panel, we're honored this afternoon to have friends of Herky through the years, and I think we mentioned earlier, this is Herky's 75th birthday. So happy birthday, Herky. I must say he's younger than I am, but that's beside the point. These folks up here, now, oh, look who just arrived. Hey! Herky is in the house. Happy birthday, Herky. How about that? And we've got a chair for you. Look at all these friends of Herky. What more could you ask for? He'll take center stage. We want to introduce these former friends, and they can stand up. They were close personal friends of Herky through the years, and they're going to tell us some of their greatest stories through the years. And first of all, Angie Anderson, stand up. Thank you. And Carrie Norwood. Mike Trachta. We're going to skip the birthday bird. I was going to say girl or boy or bird. Okay, Jeff McNutt. And finally, Alex Kern. Now, Herky himself is not actually in a speaking voice tonight, so we're not going to ask too many questions, but he can just wave at us every now and then. But these other five, they were close enough to Herky. They know everything there is to know about Herky, and anything Herky did or said, they were right there when it happened. So they're close enough friends. We're just going to go down the line. You're Herky. First of all, when we come to you the first time, tell us what years you were close enough to Herky to relate some of these stories. So, Alex, we'll start with you. Tell us what's your, how do I say this, favorite recollection of Herky?
So I was friends with Herky from 2017 to 2019, so pretty recently. I'm also currently Herky's coach. So if you're at football tomorrow, you'll see me along the sidelines hanging out with Herky. I don't think I have a single favorite memory as Herky, but being friends with Herky and being able to visit the children in the children's hospital is just one of the best things that Herky does. Just showing up in those rooms, seeing the kids and seeing their face light up when they see Herky, it really doesn't get much better than that.
Jeff?
Jeff McNutt. I was a friend of Herky. I'm always a friend of Herky. I was a friend of Herky in 1987 and 88. And I think the one thing that, I don't know if Herky remembers, but one of the things that when you're in suit, one of the things that I know that when I was with Herky, that he always used to do when people would take his picture is smile. Just kind of every time. And I think for me it was, I think some of it was, seeing some of the kids and so forth. I was more of the guy that did the birthday parties and the mall tours and went to high school games. And I think the one high school game that I'll never forget when I was with Herky was we went to a Muscatine high school game, and they didn't know I was coming. When we were driving by, we did a mall tour thing, and we came in, and the high school game was playing. And the news reporter said, "Hey, Herky, what do you think? You want to go around?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, hey, Herky, why don't you go around?" So we came around the corner and the crowd went nuts. It was freaking out, like, oh my God, it's Herky. I know. And the cheerleaders didn't know what was going on. So they're sitting there in front staring at the football players, you know, doing their cheer. The crowd's going crazy. And you can see they're like, all right, we're really grooving here. And the football players turn around and they're like this. And the cheerleader, and all of a sudden, one of the cheerleaders out of the corner of her eye turns and looks, and like a swarm of like fish, they all screamed and went to the side. So little moments like that have been a lot of fun, and the community's been great. But I always love you, Herky.
Well, we all know that Herky is without question one of the most iconic symbols in all of college athletics. So what more could we ask for but to celebrate your birthday? Mike, your thoughts?
You bet, thank you. I was friends with Herky from 1991 through 1994, so a while ago. And I'd say one thing that really struck me as I was able to travel with Herky is just the unanimity of positive feelings across the state of Iowa by everyone who recognizes our mascot. So everyone grows up with, this is our local superhero, and yet he's someone that we can meet with, get a picture with, give a high five to, really accessible to all the kids and families in the state of Iowa. So it's pretty special. Some of the best events, besides the big sporting events, of course, were days like Girl Scout Day at our women's basketball games, where there's, you know, thousands of pictures and autographs with all the little Girl Scouts from across the state of Iowa. Those are fun memories of really making those connections and growing the Hawkeye spirit across Hawkeye Nation.
Carrie? Should be on.
Maybe no. There we go. Hi everyone, I'm Carrie McDonald Norwood. Thank you so much for the invitation to share some of our most favorite memories of our time with Herky. Herky, we go way back. I was one of your closest friends. I know you know this, but from 1999 to 2002. And it's really hard to pick just one moment, because we can all share hundreds, if not thousands, of moments that we spent with Herky. So my dear friend Angie, we spent a lot of time with Herky together, and during Angie's time at Iowa, she had a yellow Beetle bug car. And so it was not uncommon for us to but Herky would happily jump into this very recognizable car that would zoom throughout the entire campus. And we would often pull up to the freshman dorms and to see the students standing there waiting for the CAM bus. But we pulled up in much grander fashion because we had Herky in the car. And so sure enough, Angie would be honking the horn, get everyone's attention, and just the mouths would drop on the students like, what? Hey, Herky, all right! And it was moments like that they're so small and simple, but they made an impact on the community, and that was one of my favorite moments, is driving around with Angie and Herky in her yellow bug.
Angie?
Is it on yet? There we go. Hi, Angie Anderson. I am a friend of Herky's from 1999 to 2001. We go way back. I'm Herky's first girlfriend. Well, actually, we both were. We both were. So many wonderful stories that I can think of. One, I remember Herky at a football game, and Herky does this funny thing. I don't know if he still does it, but he used to do this funny thing where he would spin his head around. And so he spun the football head around, and he was walking backwards and couldn't see well, and spun his head back, and was having a great time. And it was the Penn State game, and we thought it'd be really funny. Herky told me, whispered in my ear, and he said it'd be really funny if Herky went over and fought the lion. And so Herky still was a little loose-headed, but decided it would still be a good idea. And so Herky went over and it was a super soaker at the time. We had a super soaker, and he was spraying everybody. And so took the super soaker over and started spraying the lion, and everyone was laughing, and the lion was totally getting soaked. Well, the lion decided to pay Herky back. Do you remember this, Herky? Oh, you do, okay. And what happened was the lion decided to get down like a linebacker and charge Herky. And so Herky panicked and said, no, don't, as loud as that Herky could. And the Nittany lion didn't care and picked Herky up and threw Herky on the ground. And Herky had a headache and had to immediately get its head back and had to run into the pink locker room, and Carrie also came and helped Herky. And so Herky's seen the pink locker room because Herky had a terrible headache. So that was a wonderful.
I remember that one really well. I'm glad you're doing much better now, Herky.
I've got to tell you, I was at all those games since I started at Iowa in 1971, but that was unbelievable. It was a negative, but that's, before we get to some positives, I'd like you all to think about this just for a few seconds. What was from your friendship with Herky, what do you think was the worst experience? Maybe that was, in case of your friends, was the worst when he got knocked on his butt. But, you know, was there anything when you know, as a friend, you'd like to forget as far as experiences with Herky and that was totally negative? Because there's anything you think of Herky the hog, in your mind, it's positive. Because all this, you know, friendly bird does is bring joy to people, but there's got to be something negative. So what, you know, Alex, we'll start with you. Is there anything, you know, through the years that you'd like to forget that was totally negative about Herky? I mean, not about Herky, but what happened to Herky or whatever.
I don't know about totally negative, but
Herky, what are you doing?
give me a second here. There it is. I don't know about totally negative, but I know the most frightening experience Herky and I had together was, I want to say 2018 Ohio State game, where they came to Kinnick at night as an undefeated team, and as everyone knows, you don't show up to Kinnick Stadium undefeated at a night game. And at the end of that game, Herky and I stormed the field. And of course, Herky and I were the first two running out there, and we get about halfway to the middle of the field, and Herky tripped in front of me, and then I tripped over Herky with the entire student section running behind us. So in my head, that was it. Herky and I are getting trampled. At least we're going out, beating Ohio State. Luckily we have some great cheerleaders at the University of Iowa. They picked Herky and I up, and we just kept on running. So yeah, that was probably the scariest moment I've ever had with Herky, but ended up being okay.
Jeff?
You know what? Being with Herky in 87, 88, and I think probably could speak for all of us, there's zero negative about being Herky. Yeah, you have some challenging moments, but it is pure joy when people see you. There's never been, other than even I would say even the visiting team. You can't help, I love this guy. So I think the only thing that I could say that was, my mom might disagree with me a little bit, because one time I came home with Herky, and Herky had been, working really, really hard for a long time. And he smelled really bad. So my mom had to give probably 3 washes to Herky before she could even take it. So that's about all I got.
So you must have spent some time with Herky at the Holiday Bowl.
Yeah, well, I kind of was Herky's guardian, or guard. Because when you're Herky, even the friendly ones want to give him a beer or rub his beak or something like that for luck. You know what I mean? But yeah, Holiday Bowl in '91.
I understand what you're saying, Mike. There must have been some negative about being, that you heard from Herky that.
Yeah, maybe I'll just share 2 reflections, but I agree with Jeff. Like, everything about Herky's 100% positive, so these are just more funny memories. But one thing that I think lots of little kids don't realize, that Herky's beak kind of stops Herky's peripheral vision from seeing who's down below. So many times Herky will be walking and maybe run over a little kid because he can't see down below. So word to the little kids, make sure you're waving your hand and yelling at Herky so Herky can see it before you get a knee to the face. And then I just say one other kind of funny memory that Herky experienced was over in the cross-state football team that we played from time to time. There was a game probably in 93 or 2 where there was really heavy snow. And the Hawkeyes ended up winning that game, but Herky and all the cheerleaders and dance team ended up getting into a little bit of a snowball fight with the Cyclone student section. So the sound of hard-packed snowballs whacking Herky on the head was a loud sound, but luckily Herky survived and threw a few balls back the other direction. So that was a fun one.
Carrie? Just go ahead and keep your microphones on.
So to add a little bit of color to your first story, I can certainly recall times when Herky would go down and give kids the hugs and perhaps misjudge the distance between his beak and the kid's head. And it was very, very common to see little bits of Herky's beak then on top of the kid's head. And the kid would then walk away, oh, and Herky, oh, I'm so sorry, and give some hugs. So to add a little bit of that, I would say one of the great things that the Iowa Spirit Squads did was made sure that Herky visited as many appearances as possible. We all know football and basketball, but there was one day that Angie and I took Herky to a swim meet. And if you can maybe take a guess where this one goes, Herky was very brave and he wanted to show what a fantastic swimmer he was. So Herky decided to jump into the pool, which people were very, very surprised that he was going to do this. Herky then realized how heavy feathers get when they're wet. So we had to quickly get Herky out of the pool, and thankfully he recovered. And I want to say then, Herky, I think you may have promised then that you would never jump into the deep end of the pool again. Yeah.
Did you have to give CPR?
No, thankfully, because I don't know how we would have managed that. 10 people all at one time.
Or mouth to mouth?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He has a big mouth there. We didn't have to go that far, but he made it. And it certainly made a lot of people laugh, but also it was a very nervous laughter.
Angie?
I would say the hardest part about being Herky is that Herky runs hot. And so Herky gets so sweaty. And it is sometimes disgusting sorry Herky, it's sometimes a little disgusting how sweaty Herky gets. So as friends come and hang out with Herky, they, as the games progress, get grosser and grosser and stinkier and stinkier. And people don't realize that it's not the person, it's Herky. That's not Herky's friend, it's Herky that's the sweaty one. So I think otherwise Herky's wonderful, and I would never change anything about you. Still love you.
Well, we're gonna stay right with you, and we'll come back this way this time. I think it's obvious to you as close, very close friends to Herky that there's some little ones out there on a daily basis that kind of consider Herky like a god. How did that make you feel, when they just come up and hug you?
Absolutely wonderful, because Herky loves, as much as those kids love Herky, Herky loves those kids 100 times more. And Herky even loves adult that Herky, doesn't want too much love. But sometimes you get a tush pat, don't you, Herky? Yeah, occasionally. Yeah, nobody likes it. But outside of that, we love the kids. So thank you for giving the love to Herky, because Herky loves it back.
75 years, Herky. That's a long time, and unlike some of us, you don't have any gray hair.
What are you saying? I don't.
Go ahead, Carrie.
What are you saying? Just to echo what Angie was saying, 75 years of love and hugs, and just seeing this little one in the front row right here, how excited, the excitement there, the waves. You can't get cuter than this. And when Herky goes to the iClub events all throughout the state, or the Midwest, and really I think the country, it's really nice when the fans who may not necessarily be in Iowa City get to see some of Iowa City go to them.
Go ahead, Mike.
Agree with everything that's been said. Just maybe one other quick comment, that it's the kids and the kid at heart in all of us. So when we see on move-in day or homecoming, we've got alumni or family or friends, everyone wants to get that high five and picture with Herky. So it really, I think, brings out the kid in all of us.
Now, Jeff, it isn't just the kids. You get 40, 50, 60-year-old adults, people like myself that come up and want a hug from Herky too.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's actually kind of wild. There was one time where I had a older neighbor who I mowed his yard, and Herky just happened to be around with me, and he was watching a Hawkeye game, a different kind of Hawkeye game, and in front of the patio door, back and forth, the guy about dropped off his seat, freaked out, about to have a heart attack. I will say one other thing though about kids. When you're a Herky and you're 75, it's one thing. But when you're a friend of Herky, you're 18, 19, 20. And a lot of people know when you're 18, 19, 20, sometimes you don't feel like yourself. Sometimes you don't have really good days. Sometimes your tests suck. Sometimes, whatever and ever, and it can be really hard. But when you're hanging around this guy and everybody loves you, it's something that really changes like the energy within yourself when you're an 18, 19, 20, 21.
Yeah. What do you think, Alex?
I think that really you can see that the joy that Herky brings to everyone, not only when you are in the state of Iowa, but really when we travel throughout the country. I got the opportunity to travel with Herky to California, Florida, North Carolina, and no matter where we are in the country, you get those same kids who are there who love Herky, and their parents, these 30, 40, 50-year-old fans who have traveled across the country just to support the Hawkeyes and to get a picture with Herky. And you really don't realize what brave fans the Hawkeye Nation is until you're outside of Iowa and your fans are still the best fans in the country.
What was, as a friend of Herky, what was your favorite or most, favorite story to tell anybody, about what you learned from Herky through the years? What are you most proud of with your association with Herky? Go ahead, Angie.
Is it on? Two things. One, I'm going to steal this from Carrie so she can't say it. One of my favorite memories was Herky was an answer on Jeopardy. And so that was really amazing for Herky to be an answer on Jeopardy. And the other favorite thing was something that Herky and I came up with, which was the toilet paper gun. And Herky doesn't have any money, but he still has enough to rent a leaf blower from Home Depot and duct tape, paint roller to the end of it, and then add toilet paper to that, and then spray the audience. So that was a lot of fun. Remember that? That was So, and just really getting away with just anything that you think would be funny to do, to just have the opportunity to go be funny, right, Herky? Like, if I whisper a funny idea in Herky's ear, and then Herky would do it, and nobody would get mad.
By the way, the contestant on Jeopardy did get the answer correct. So Jeopardy was definitely one really favorite moment, but I think it was also my association to Herky that helped me then get on The Price is Right when I was in college, because that was definitely part of my audition was, oh, I'm really close friends with Herky. And so Bob Barker called me down, which that was really exciting. And then the association, being Herky's best friend, also then helped me. As soon as I graduated college, I then went on to be best friends with Tommy Hawk from the Chicago Blackhawks for about 2 years, and then after that I continued on and I was best friends with Southpaw from the Chicago White Sox for almost 11 years. So thank you, Herky.
I didn't realize we were in the presence of celebrities here. Mike, what do you think?
Well, I'll just build on that as well. I think at the bottom of my resume it says friend of Herky, and no one asks me about anything else on the resume in a job interview except for that last line. So definitely a connection for everyone. I think maybe one thing that we can all be most proud of is the amount of effort and energy that Herky and the whole Spirit Squad put into the entire school year. Sometimes there's 300, 400 appearances in 1 year. That's an amazing amount of school spirit that's generated by this bird right here. And so we owe a lot to Herky for supporting all of our students, staff, and teams across the university.
Jeff?
I'm 56, and so I think the thing is, throughout my life, it's always been something I've been very proud of, to be a friend of Herky. I think for me, probably in 2005, 6, 7, somewhere around there, a kind of wind came through. I do artwork on the side, and so, you know, I have a big painting back there called Herky's Birthday Party, which this guy came to my studio and helped sign. It was very nice. And I think for me, it's just been, for me as an artist, I want to put a lot of joy, a lot of energy, anytime it goes into my artwork goes into a space, I want it to really have an energy that's really strong. And painting this guy has just been great. I do want to say one thing before we'll go. I was Herky in 87 and 88, and Delta Tau Delta was a fraternity that had the ability to be the friend of Herky. We did a really, really great job, and I'm very proud of everything we've done. But since that has been transferred over, I will have to say that there is one individual that I'm not sure has a lot of big ovations that's given his way. And it's a gentleman back there named Greg Nemec, who is the Herky chair. And he's taken that thing over for years and years and years. And the brand and the help and the energy that this guy has is all birthed out of that man over there. So thank you, Greg, for everything you've done.
That's Greg Nemec, who's the head of the Iowa Spirit Squads, and he's been doing it for a long time, and wonderful job. Alex?
So probably my favorite thing to share as a friend of Herky isn't actually from my time as a friend of Herky. It's more as my time as a coach. My favorite thing to do as a coach is to invite back former friends of Herky and get to brag to them about, look where Herky is now. Like, everyone that's been a friend of Herky puts so much time and effort into making Herky the bird he is. Just to be able to show them where Herky is now and how he's grown, what we're doing with the team that's my favorite thing to share is Herky's coach.
Well, and there's one thing, I'd like to bring up, and it's not to some people it's a tearjerker, maybe it is to me a little bit, because I've seen it before, Herky walking down the halls of the Children's Hospital. It's unbelievable, the looks. in those kids' eyes, it's just unbelievable, and it's almost like it makes them well. But what do you think, Angie, of that? I mean, that's a medicine that you can't buy.
It's absolutely amazing. It's such a blessing to be able to be with Herky when those moments are happening. I would say in addition to that, we also we're involved with Dance Marathon, which is a big event here as well. And to have Herky out there dancing for 24 hours, again, I said Herky's a sweaty dude, and so to have Herky being that sweaty for 24 hours was really amazing. So stuff like the Children's Hospital and seeing the kids' faces, and then events like that, it's really, really amazing to be able to watch Herky enjoy them.
Carrie?
I think Angie said it right there. Really, when Herky walks into any room, but especially a children's hospital, it can be just one moment that a family, a child, really could need, and Herky's there to lift up everyone's spirits. And it's not just the child and the family, but it's also the dedicated men and women who are in the hospital supporting these families. So way to go, Herky. You are the best.
Agree with everything that was said, and just a great point that there's so many times where Herky or the Spirit Squad or players from our teams are doing things behind the scenes that no one knows is happening. These are not public events, but really show the Hawkeye spirit and support all of our community members across the state of Iowa. Really special for all those involved.
And I don't know if Herky, how do I say it, was idolized as much, let's say in the 50s and 60s, as he was later on, but you can't compare it with what he is now, because everybody loves Herky. Jeff, you had...
I never had the opportunity as a Herky friend to go into the Children's Hospital. However, I will say that yesterday I got a call from Lisa McGill, who's one of the chief children's specialists at the UI-Stead Children's Hospital. And she asked me, as an artist, is there anything that we could do? Because they are having their own FRYfest right now. I don't know if anybody knew that. It's kind of like a homemade little FRYfest that they're doing. And so I took 100 posters of that painting and went over to the Children's Hospital and signed them. Didn't go in there, but I know there was 75 kids that were getting the poster of the thing you and I signed. Fist bump. But I've never had the opportunity, but it is amazing what you do, Herc.
Yeah, so these days, Herky visits the Children's Hospital about once a month. I think, Herky, were you there earlier today for their FRYfest? Yeah, I think so. So during my time as a friend of Herky, man, there's nothing that beats going to the Children's Hospital, just making someone's day. When you're with Herky and a parent says, sorry, let's tear up a little bit. When a parent says to you, I thank you, I haven't seen my child smile in weeks or a month, and just that joy that Herky can bring to someone it's unmatched. Like, there's nothing better than going to do those visits and just making their day.
Herky, I'm starting to really believe, I've known this, that you're something special. Huh? You're not conceited or anything, are you? Well, we're going to talk to these friends of Herky and ask, what, in your, relationship with Herky, what was your favorite, beside Kinnick Stadium, what was your favorite stadium to go into other than our own? Angie, maybe you want to think about it a second, but go ahead. Go ahead, Angie.
Are you thinking, or do you want me to go? I'll jump in while she's thinking of her favorite. One of the most favorite memories I had with Herky was going to the University of Colorado. First of all, you've got the mountains right behind the stadium, but even more fun was back at that time, they would run the bison out around the field. So getting the chance to chase a bison around a football field looked like a pretty good time for Herky.
So I don't think there's another college stadium that compares to Kinnick. So one of my favorite places to visit with Herky was when, I think it was 2001. Oh goodness, I can't believe I forgot this. It's been a while. But I went with Herky when the Iowa men's basketball team won the Big Ten tournament at the United Center. And growing up in Chicago and being a huge Chicago Bulls fan, it was something really special for me to be able to take Herky down into the bowels of the United Center and then be on the court, and then when the Hawkeyes won, actually get to help Herky up to the net and cut down some of the net once we won that Big Ten tournament.
Thanks for bringing that up, because I guess we're not limited to football. That's for sure, Angie.
Yeah, I would say there's no stadium like. There is great things about traveling though, and that's you get to fly in the plane with the team. So that's kind of fun, right, Herky? You're typically back by the toilet, but there's no leg room for poor Herc. But outside of that, it's fun. The other thing I would say is, honestly, outside of Kinnick, it's Carver. Carver is such a great arena to be in. In fact, I have a quick story about Herky. One time, there was a cheerleading tournament for high school cheerleaders at Carver, and this was back when they had the roundabout in front of Carver. And Herky was out being Herky, and we were walking around, and Herky saw that there was a limo that was running with no driver. And Herky thought it would be hilarious to hop in the driver's seat and cruise that limo around the roundabout. It's long past. Herky has his license. It's fine. And so we watched Herky do that for about 4 laps, and then the driver came out and again, you can get away with anything, Herky, can't you? And so he yelled, and Herky stopped, and all was fine. But it was very funny, Herky.
Jeff?
I have to say, I again, being Herky's kind of helper, my favorite stadiums were the small town high school homecoming games that the kids didn't get the chance to come to Kinnick, and then he shows up and everybody goes crazy. It was just really heartwarming, and it was like the Beatles kind of feeling. So it was awesome.
I think my favorite stadiums to go to were actually the bowl games, the Outback Bowl and then the Holiday Bowl, where, Hawks fans are flying across the country to go there, and the other teams were playing just a state or two away, and even then there's clearly more Hawks fans there than the other teams. It's just great to hang out with Herky and feel that support from the Hawkeye fans.
And Alex will stay with you, and this will be the final question for you guys. What have you taken from your friendship with Herky into life, into later life? What did you learn? What did you pick up, from being great friends with Herky and Herky's associations that has maybe helped you in later life?
A big thing I took was, never lose sight of your imagination, never lose joy in the little things, and just the importance of being entertaining, fun, just bringing joy to other people, and how important that could be just in everyday life. Like, if you can make somebody smile, you might just be making their day a little bit better, and that builds and it goes a long way.
I think the thing that I suppose that I would say that I've taken away from my relationship with the bird is gratitude. I think when you have challenges in life that come up, you start making a gratitude list, and all of a sudden, one by one, those problems fade away. So I would say that's what I've taken away.
Mike?
I'll just agree that feeling of gratitude, but the understanding of the positive impact you can make on someone else. And watching Herky start the day and take the first picture or sign the first autograph, and do the 1,000th autograph with the same amount of enthusiasm, because that's that same, that connection at that moment is the first second for the other person. So I think understanding that, whether it's community service or just making sure that you're always lifting others up is an important lifelong lesson.
So Jeff touched on this a couple minutes ago, but in order to be one of Herky's friends, when Herky first came to the University of Iowa, you had to be a member of the fraternity Delta Tau Delta. Well, the end of my freshman year, so this is going back to 1999, that fraternity was no longer, how do we say this, on campus.
They went away.
And, bye. And because of that, the athletic department then kind of took ownership of Herky's schedule and Herky's friends. And it was, I believe, a conversation with the athletic department and the head coach of the Iowa Spirit Squads, Greg, who's here. And they said, okay, well, what are we going to be doing with Herky's friends? Who is going to be Herky's best friends to take them around? And it was then the decision for, we're going to have open auditions for the student body to be Herky's best friend. And it was a moment that I think Angie and Angie and I did not know each other until we became Herky's best friends. But what I learned is that if you see an opportunity you're not quite sure of, but it seems kind of cool, go for it. Because you never know what can then happen because of those experiences. So I do thank the University of Iowa. I thank Greg. I thank the Delts for hitting the road, because it allowed me to experience some really cool things that have followed me and really did, I think, change the course of my life, all because I was a great friend of Herky.
Angie?
I would just echo that. The opportunity to be able to become Herky's friend was such, it's one of those things that there was an ad that said, Herky needs friends. And I said, oh, that poor guy. But wouldn't it be fun to be his friend? And so I thought, let's do this. So if you are thinking about doing something, maybe you're a student, maybe you're an incoming student, maybe you're a future student, try out to be Herky's friend, because it is such an amazing experience, and you will get to work with amazing friends and an amazing Coach Greg, and it's just really one of those things. And the other thing I will take away too is that because of it, I also have a lifelong friend, and so it's one of those things. Again, we would never have known each other. And you would think there would be competition because we were both Herky's first girlfriend, but no, we still are very close because of it.
Well, you're all to be congratulated for being such good friends of Herky. Now, I'd like you all to come up, stand here, including you, Herky, here in the center of the stage so that people can get a good look at you. Now, that's pretty good, Herc. Okay, and even you folks over there in line for the women's basketball autographs, it's Herky's 75th birthday, so everybody, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Herky. Happy birthday to you and many more. Thank you, Herky and Herky's friends. Thank you very much, and may you live forever.